Thank you. So we're really excited for this third plenary. It's our Student Voices plenary panel. And I would like to bring up Robin Wright, who's the Deputy Division Director of the Division of Undergraduate Education at the National Science Foundation, to give remarks, and she's also the moderator for this panel. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think for most of us, I would say the vast majority of us, the impact that we're going to have on the world and on science, frankly, is through our students. And so I'm very excited to spend all this time hearing the experiences of this panel of scholars and for them to share their truths with us and their experiences. But we have other scholars in the room, so I'm going to ask, if you're here and you're an STEM scholar, please stand up and acknowledge our appreciation. And thank you so much. And at the end of this panel discussion, what we'd like for you to do is to come forward and we'll take a picture with everybody all together. So it'll be really good. So we're going to start and allow each of our scholars to introduce themselves on the panel. So would you please describe who you are and how you got to where you are today, sitting in these chairs?
Hello, my name is Rachel Zobel. I am currently a Master of Environmental Studies student at the University of Pennsylvania. I got here today by participating in the STEM program at Gwynedd Mercy University as a biology student, where I spent 4 years studying molecular biology and chemistry, and now I'm focusing on environmental biology.
Is this on? Okay. So my name is Ivan Santos. I am a sophomore studying computer science at the Colorado School of Mines. And I got here by, first of all, just developing this passion for just math in general, and just applying that best application of math for me was computer science. And being a part of the program that I am back at Colorado, which is the PATH Scholarship Program for students to pursue a passion in computer science at Mines. And because of that, I developed relationships, and I was able to apply for this scholarship, and now I'm glad I'm here.
Hi, my name's Nicholas DiTommaso. I'm a junior chemical engineer at Michigan State University. I also have a double major in economics. I got to this point, I've always been really interested in research. I worked at Beaumont Hospital as a biobank researcher. I worked at the University of Pittsburgh as a rehabilitation engineering researcher. And then I worked with the chemistry department at Michigan State University for 2 years as a cancer researcher. And I was invited to the program after my sophomore year, so this is my second year in the cohort, and it's been a great experience. Got to meet a lot of other engineers with similar drive and motivation as myself.
Hi, my name's Abby. I go to the University of Texas at Arlington, and I'm a senior studying pure mathematics. I was homeschooled my whole life, from preschool until high school graduation, and after that I went to community college for 2 years before I transferred to UTA. And I transferred initially to study civil engineering, and I quickly learned that I really didn't like engineering. I wasn't passionate about it, and what I was really passionate about was math, and so I changed my major to pure math. And it was during my second semester studying math that I learned about the STEM program at UTA, and I was accepted into the program. And that really influenced the rest of my academic career, because through participating in that program, I became really interested in research. And so this past spring, I started my first research project in computational neuroscience at UTA. And over the summer, I participated in the summer program in computational biology and biostatistics at Harvard.
Hi, my name is Bianca Chavis. I'm a junior informatics major at IUPUI. My undergrad career started in 2011 at Ball State University, and after changing my major a whole bunch of times, I decided to go home and transfer to IUPUI in 2014, and I had a little rocky start there and left school to work and pay the bills and stuff, and then in 2017, I met with an advisor at Ivy Tech Community College, and she pointed me towards informatics as a major. In my second semester as an informatics major, I joined LIFT Scholars, and it's been excellent ever since.
That's terrific. Well, we welcome you here today. Now, my next question, some of you have started. It's clear that research has been an important component of how you got interested in STEM. But for those of you who have additional stories, why STEM? What about STEM interests you?
For me, it started in high school. I was kind of just going through the motions of high school, and then I was in an honors biology class, and it was the only thing that made sense to me, so I decided why not spend the rest of my life studying science. So, and then from there, I thought I wanted to go to medical school, and then I took my first ecology class, and I fell in love with bugs. So now, just kind of through experiences, just have found new things to love about STEM in different, in all areas of the STEM subject.
So for me, like I said, I developed this passion for math, and I don't know, I always loved it just because it's either black or white. There's always a definite answer behind just a mathematical formula. And I realized that my perfect application for that, and actually a fun application, is just computer science, like literally telling the computer what to do. I find it fun. I find it entertaining to just sit down, put in my headphones, just write code for a little bit. So yeah, I just developed because I found fun. I found fun in that. So that's how I developed my passion for STEM.
So wait, let me get this straight. You think math is fun?
I think math is interesting, but then computer science is fun. It's a good application of math.
Abby, what about you? So do you think math is fun? Do you enjoy that?
I've always enjoyed mathematics. Originally I wanted to be a biomedical engineer, but that was not offered at Michigan State. So one of the admissions counselors recommended chemical engineering. So I was kind of pushed into it. But engineering as a whole, I was always very interested in it, but it wasn't really much of a choice. My parents pretty much made it clear to me that they expected me to be an engineer because I could do it. And I do really enjoy it, but to me it was less of a journey and more of a path. I don't know, that doesn't make much sense, but it wasn't much of there was only one, there was no fork in the road. It was a straight line, and I was just being told where to go. But it's worked out really well, and as I got down that path, I noticed there's a lot of different ways to go about engineering, and I've worked in with chemistry and with rehabilitation and biomedical in my research, and it's really opened my eyes to the amount of options that are out there in terms of engineering and related.
I always knew that I was better at math than other subjects, so I knew that I wanted to get into a career that was focused in math. But for a long time, I just didn't even consider becoming a math major. I guess I hadn't met any math majors, and it didn't occur to me that all my professors had been math majors. So once I transferred to UTA and I met other math majors, that's when I really decided that I wanted to change to math.
Yeah. For me, I never really saw myself in a STEM career just because I didn't really grow up, with computers and stuff. But it started with a job that I had a computer and a ton of free time. So just on a whim, I went to codecademy.com and just kind of learned how to code a little bit. And I was like, hey, I love this. So when I met with my advisor, I told her that I was interested in STEM, and then she told me about informatics.
That's really wonderful. Now, this is open for any of you. Again, you don't all have to answer this question, but what is the best thing about your college experience so far?
I can start with that. I think my favorite part of college is being introduced to other people who are passionate about things. When I first started, I really didn't understand what my degree would be used for or where I was going with it. And when I was able to meet with my professors and my advisors, and they I showed them that I was excited to learn, and they really responded with a great enthusiasm. And every time I go and meet with a professor, and it's a 45-minute meeting, and I get out and I'm like, well, I have to go to grad school now. And then I think about it and I'm like, well, I can go a lot of different ways. And then meet with another professor, well, I should go to grad school there, So it's really amazing the enthusiasm that the staff has shown me, and I think that it's unfortunate that a lot of students don't reach out and get that same experience.
Yeah, kind of going off of what Nicholas said, I've met a lot of students too who have really like enhanced my college experience. So for me, that would be the best part, is just getting that support network and having that sense of belonging that comes with having a support network of my peers.
For me, it would be just the freedom of being a college student. There's some days where I have class for only like 2 hours a day, so it's kind of up to me to make the most out of the rest of the day. I can either go work out, have fun, or I can work on my homework. So just the freedom I get of being a college student has been the best part.
I think for me, since I'm a graduate student now, I think my favorite part of college was failing, which I know doesn't make any sense, but there were many days where I didn't think that I was ever going to graduate college, and then I found myself getting accepted into my #1 graduate school, which still seems like a dream, and I'm halfway done. But so I think failing for sure taught me way more lessons than the A's on my transcript or the information that I understood in classes. So, and then your peers are also failing, which is really cool because you're not, so you're not alone, which was also a great part of college too, because you fail and you think it's just you that's going through it, and then you talk to everyone else and they also got a 22 on their molecular biology exam. So,
Rachel, can you answer what's the best about graduate school?
the best about graduate school are the connections that I've made. Definitely, so I'm in an environmental biology program, so I do a lot of field work, and I'm going to like different sites all the time, spanning from New Jersey, Pennsylvania, I'm going to India, Puerto Rico. I feel like there are just so many opportunities in graduate school to further, of course, confuse me even more of what I want to do for the rest of my life, but I'm gaining so much more experience in graduate school.
Okay, kind of the flip side of that, what's been your greatest challenge?
For me, definitely like leaving home. I remember like every time I visit home and then come back, it feels like the first day I moved in. Like just that's like it's the same feeling every week or every other week when I go home. Like coming back, it's still as hard as to let go as if it was the first day of freshman year, move-in day. So definitely letting go. But yeah, after the week passes by, I kind of just forget about it, and it comes again the following week when I.
Maybe you should just not go home. No, no. So, I know your mama wants you there.
Mine was just staying motivated, because between working and going to school and all the other things you have to juggle, it's really hard to not just continue going to school, but also like do your absolute best at school and not just try to pass your classes, but try to do more than that. And along the way, I've found ways to stay motivated, and the STEM program has been really beneficial for me there because it provided like this peer support group of students who are like me and have the same goals. But also having a mentor has been really helpful in keeping me motivated, but it's still a constant battle to stay motivated.
I think the hardest part for me has been sometimes relating with my peers. As much as I've found some really great motivated students, I haven't found a lot of students who are in the same situation that I've been in. When I started college, my family had to move in with my uncle, and they are still in between houses right now, and it's been almost 2 years. And my father's, he runs his own business, so he's very dependent on myself and my brother and my mom to help him out with the business. And now my brother's been sent up to school, he's a freshman this year, and it's kind of like I'm responsible for him now. My parents are off doing other things, and I'm the one who has to do everything for him. And it's a lot to deal with, and I don't think a lot of other students understand that, and it can be hard to, because they have a lot of free time that I don't necessarily have, and I want to spend time with my peers, but I can't.
So what has been the most important resource that's been responsible for your success so far?
I would say my professors. I'm very, very close with all of my professors. Yeah, I don't know if it's my personality or theirs, but we just get along very well, and I know that I could call them for anything, personal reasons, academics, career, anything. They would answer the phone and not even hesitate twice about trying to find the best solution for the problem that I'm experiencing. So definitely 100% my professors.
I would say my best resource has been my STEM program, the Lift Scholars, just because I transferred over from community college to a 4-year school, and I mean, that's like hard enough as it is, but having the resources that I have with my Lift Scholar friends, if there was like any issues that arose, they would get instantly solved, and you know, we have peer mentors who are always happy to help each other, and they just like always have my back, so they're a great resource.
Okay, now this one might be a little hard question. What do you wish your professors knew about you?
Well, I tend to overshare. I think my professors know more about me than my own family does. So I don't think that there's a lot of things that I wish they didn't know about me. But yeah, no, I don't think that there's anything that anything more that they could know. Because I'm, like I said, I'm very close with them. So.
Yeah, I would say I've had very positive experiences with my professors. They're not very quick to judgment or things like that. They're very, I think the most you can ask is to be open-minded and understanding to different situations that might come up. And thankfully, I've had really good experiences with that. But I would say a continuation of that would be very much appreciated.
I would agree that my professors have been really great, and a continuation of what they've done for me would be all that I ask, because when I first started college, like, it was pretty scary, especially after being homeschooled. Like, even a community college was really overwhelming. And I still remember professors from like 4 or 5 years ago now just saying, like, I liked your paper, or you were doing really well in the course. And those little comments, they seem so insignificant, but they really impacted me at the time.
Okay, thank you. Well, can you think of a moment in your experience so far where your STEM experience and the STEM program that you're in made a big difference for you?
For me, definitely. So the program that I'm in, I like to reiterate, it's called the PATH Scholarship Program at School of Mines. And every year they organize like a retreat, like a 2-day retreat for students, for all incoming students and current PATH scholars to just kind of go into like the mountains of Colorado, just isolate themselves from school, don't even think about school. We have like fun activities, we definitely have good food. And for those 2 days, you just start making connections before we even start college. And because of that, last year, coming in as a freshman, I already felt like I was a part of the community even before I started college. And thanks to the retreat, that now I feel like I can bring that to incoming freshmen this year. And I did like a couple months ago where we had our second retreat, seeing like incoming freshmen coming, and sometimes I was in those shoes, and now giving back to the same program is something that changed me.
So the social aspect and the support from that point of view is really important.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would say one big benefit of the program has been connecting me with other motivated students. And I work for the College of Engineering, so I actually work closely with some of the people who are in the younger cohort, the year after mine. And it was really exciting that when they started and they were asking me a lot of questions, and I was able to tell them about the program and the value they can get out of it and everything like that. And it's really rewarding to kind of share in that excitement with motivated students.
My program, I was a freshman when I first got into the program. It was new, my freshman year. And Within the first week or two of being in college, I tried to drop out, and no one would sign my withdrawal forms. So I was just a little annoyed, and then we started having, our program was called eSTEM, the E standing for ethics, because we thought that it was important to understand ethical issues that do come up in STEM disciplines. So we met every week, and there was kind of a life coach woman. She was a part of the program as well. And probably on my 5th time of trying to drop out of college, my professor was like, why don't you talk to, her name was Tara. So Tara and I had like a very long conversation, and had anyone signed those withdrawal forms, the thought of where I would be today is mortifying. I have no idea where I would be today. I wouldn't be here. So I'm very grateful. That's probably one of my best and worst memories of the program.
In my program, we have learning communities where LIFT scholars are basically placed in like the same classes as other LIFT scholars, if possible. And that's really impacted me because if I am having issues in a class, then I always know somebody that I can talk to, and that's really helped me do my really best in school.
It really impacted me, the peer support group that I've had through my STEM program. Because our program is called Surge, and when I joined Surge, I met all these other Surge scholars who were in my classes. I just hadn't really met them before, and so I got this support group, and we could study together, and it's really helped me to stay motivated in school.
Well, I'm not sure if you know this, but a big part of the STEM awards are targeted for direct student support. That is money directly to the scholars. How important has that been in your success? Because it's also helping to pay for the life coaches and the experiences in the mines and all of those other kinds of things as well. It does help do that as well.
I think it's pretty much been like vital to my success because before I joined LIFT, I was at one point working 3 jobs. And the support that I got from the STEM scholarship actually allowed me to only work 1 job because the money went to some academic costs. So I've been able to spend more time on my academics, and I've been doing better just because of the award that I've received from the STEM scholarship.
When I first received the scholarship, I was also working too much, and I was taking classes that were harder than classes I'd ever taken before. So I needed that extra time to study, but I just didn't have it. And my grades weren't quite where they usually were. And so when I got the scholarship, I was able to reduce my hours and put more time towards studying and bring my grades back up.
Yeah, the scholarship itself has been life-changing in terms of how I can organize myself. I haven't managed to leave any of my jobs, but now I can spend more time with my family and support my family a little bit more than I would have been able to if I was also paying off tuition.
Yeah, I share the same opinion that it was literally life-changing because money was the only thing standing between me and going to the college I wanted it to. And even though I was accepted, the financial award wasn't that great. And after getting the scholarship and even like considering my situation, I was able to go to the college I wanted to. I was able to study what I wanted. I was able to get the grades I wanted the first year, get involved as I could, and then just going every time to class, knowing that people are investing on you. It's really a motivating factor. And so it was literally like life-changing because where I go now kind of leads me to my next step.
I would just agree on that. I wouldn't have gone to Gwynedd Mercy University for my bachelor's degree had I not received the scholarship. And that school has changed, it definitely changed my life and helped me get into the career that I'm in now and heading towards in the future. So it definitely, I wouldn't have gone to the school had I not received that scholarship.
Okay, now, just like anything, the STEM program could be improved, and we're always talking about different ideas about how it could be improved, et cetera. From where you're sitting now, we have a room full of hundreds of educators and researchers and funders and other folks who care about student success in STEM. So from where you're sitting, is there any advice you'd give about how the program might be improved to be even more effective for more students?
I think I'd always like to be able to go to more of the events, and it can be difficult when we're just told that there's an event on this day at this time and this location, and there isn't much leeway. I think if possible, and depending on the size of the cohort, our cohort is about 9 students per year, so 18 active students. And if there was like kind of like an input, like I could say like I'm available Tuesdays and Thursdays and Fridays, you know, and so the events could be built around when most of the cohort is available versus at a specified date and time.
Thanks. Good idea.
I would say take the non-traditional students into account a little bit more. Not every student is, 18 to 22. There are students who are taking care of kids. There are students who are taking care of their parents. And, I've met a couple of people who have not been able to take certain classes because they work during that time. So maybe making it easier for them to navigate college should be something that should be taken into account.
Any other advice?
Well, mine's not a advice, it's a compliment. I think the food is really, really good. And I think keeping that up is definitely a plus.
Now, I'm going to apologize. Now I'm going to go off script a bit. How many of you take advantage of online courses to help manage your course load?
Take one.
And do you find that they are as good as in-person courses? Tell us some more about your experience.
They're definitely more convenient, but for me personally, I don't feel like I learn as much in an online course. I actually just finished an online course, and my friend and I were talking about we have no idea what we learned. We learned like about our specific stuff that we had to do our projects on, but it was definitely convenient for the time, but for learning and really grasping the information that would last longer than the duration of the class, it's hard for myself to learn all of that online.
You're shaking your head, Bianca.
Yeah, I agree. I just do better like in face-to-face classes. I feel like I retain the information more when someone is like giving me the information rather than when I'm just, reading it on a screen a little bit. But I mean, they're convenient, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm. Nicholas, is that your experience as well?
Yeah, I've taken a variety of online classes, a lot of economics and a few engineering, but I haven't taken the same class in person, so I guess I can't compare and say like the material would have been easier to learn in person or, but the assignments were definitely gauged in a way that they were pretty easy to do, so I didn't feel like I was being challenged to learn anything new, especially given that it could be completed on my own time and all that. It didn't feel like there was a lot to learn there, and they gave you a really long time to do very little.
It was really interesting. Now, I'd like to invite everybody in the audience to participate and develop your own answer to the next question. And what I want you to do, but we're going to start with debriefing our scholars first, so you guys will have first answers to give. But I want each of us here to envision our best future STEM education possible. No monetary concerns, no time concerns, no concerns whatsoever. Just what your best vision of what STEM education of the future should look like. So I'm going to give you 30 seconds or so to think about that. Picture it in your mind. Close your eyes. Imagine. Okay, take out a piece of paper and a pencil, or you can just take your own brain, and in no more than 3 words, so 1 word is ideal, but no more than 3, describe what your vision is. Let me know when you guys are ready. We're in Washington, D.C. It's like nobody pays attention after 15 seconds. That's why there's a three-word limit. You guys can get a pass. Okay, you ready? Let's hear what our scholars have to say. What should the future of STEM education look like to you?
I would say, for my 3 words, well, hands-on learning, meaning since money would not be a problem, just whatever discipline or focus you are studying, just go to that best place in the world and study it from the root cause, like the root of the start of that discipline, and then just learn it. I think learning the history of the sciences is really important to understand the present. So
I love that. Hands-on learning is great. How many of you had hands-on learning? See, look at that. That's pretty cool, right? You had hands-on learning too? That's great. Nicholas, what about you?
I was thinking more like learning through demonstration. I guess that's pretty similar, but I've been in a lot of courses where it's a lot of words, and you can synthesize knowledge from that, but I had a few specialized courses where we got to see something done in person, and a reaction or an experiment or an explosion, and really good courses. And it made a lot more sense than just seeing little chemical structures up on the board to know that that's really what happens when things come together and happen.
Thanks. Abigail, you ready?
I was hesitant to change my major to math, and a lot of that was because I didn't know what career I could get. And I feel like with a lot of STEM degrees, it can be really ambiguous what your career is going to look like, because there's so many forks in the road and there's so many options. So, and I'm sure that stops a lot of people from majoring in certain STEM majors. So I guess I'd want that to be more well known, what the different areas of research are, or what careers you could have with something like a math major.
Yeah, mine's basically the same as everyone else's. I just use the word immersive. One of the courses that I feel like I learned the most in was a networking class where we were actually allowed to go into the networking closet and plug everything in and go back to the computers and test it out. And I think courses like that are really helpful to, I guess, just really solidify the things in your mind, because I haven't forgotten how to do it yet, and that was last year.
Wow, that's terrific. That was a whole year ago. Huh? You still remember. Okay, we're going to take a moment, and I'm looking, I don't have it's not 2 o'clock yet. So now you have different rules than the scholars, okay? So 1 to 3 words, if you want to shout out what your vision of the future, what STEM education of the future should look like. Equitable. Accessible. Inclusive, accessible. Free. Outdoors. You must. Relevant. Practical. Contextualize. What kind of problems? Tackle real problems. Collaborative. Sorry, I heard something over here. Convergent. Whatever that means. Sorry. I didn't say that, did I? Diverse. Fun. Community. Distributive. Personalized. Interdisciplinary. Empowering. Creativity. Excellent. It's really fun. Well-funded. Yeah, okay. Any others? Forward-thinking. Engaging, ethical. Hands-on. Patient. Agency. Multi-generational. What was this one? Student-centered, inquiry-based. Student-centered, inquiry-based. Progressive. Oh, industry driven. Or career driven. I think that was one of the career. Sustainable. Innovative. Independent. Isn't this fun? This is really fun. You know, and I have to say, I was just talking with Shirley before this event, and we are not close to where we need to be, but I can tell you we are way further down the road than we were 20 years ago by a lot, and even 10 years ago. And so what I want to do is I want to give the STEM PIs and the staff and all of those who make this all happen a round of applause before I open it to questions from the audience. So thank you for the work you do. So now anyone from the audience can go to one of the microphones and ask questions of our panel. And I also may let the panel ask questions of you, so just be ready.
So before we start the Q&A session, I just want to announce if there are any STEM Scholar Student Travel Awardees here, if you would stay because we're going to take a photo afterwards, so please don't leave.
Good afternoon. I'm really excited to hear of the success and the satisfaction that the panel has had. My institution is trying to recruit for an STEM program. We've had 8 years of them, and over time, we're not recruiting as many students as we'd like to. And so, as great as these programs are, how do we get more students to apply to them, and how do we access them, get in front of them? What are your suggestions? Thank you.
I heard about my program through, I was very lucky, I heard through a family friend. So if I didn't even know, if I didn't know this family friend, then I wouldn't have even known this program existed. So I think reaching out to high schools, it sounds like a lot of work, but I think that it would definitely help. If I knew about it beforehand, I would have applied to many other schools offering the program. But in high school, I never even heard of the STEM or any programs such as that. So I definitely think reaching out directly to high school students would be very beneficial just to get the name out there.
Yeah, I want to build on that because the cool thing about my program is that we have like ambassadors, so each student is kind of responsible to go talk to their high school about the program, and so I did that, and it's more likely for like a student to apply if they're hearing it from another student than if they're seeing the success they're having, so they might want to apply instead of having just another adult or teacher telling them to apply. Then they're more likely if they hear from another student. I think that's a really cool thing about the program I'm in is that we all serve as ambassadors for not just this program but the school in general too.
Next.
What drives you nuts about professors?
Wait, what was the question?
What drives you nuts about professors?
What drives you nuts about professors?
If I had to have one thing that I didn't really like, I don't like when I feel like I'm competing against my classmates. So courses that grade on a scale where if you're in the top X%, you get the 4.0 and then so on. It really encourages people not to work together at all. I was lucky I knew one person in the class to begin with because I don't think any study groups really got formed in that class because it was very competitive and eventually it's not motivating for students who feel like they're falling behind because it didn't give them really an incentive to climb back up because they felt like they were performing the way they were because they were worse students, which isn't necessarily true. And one other thing, the same course, they let everyone pass, and as fun as that is for the students, there was a second course attached to it that not everyone passed because there were students in that course who didn't know anything from the first course.
Wait, what was the question? What drives you nuts about professors?
What drives you nuts about professors?
Oh, professors. I thought you said professionals. late grading, I guess. I don't know. Would they? Yeah. Would they like? They're super stringent about getting your homework in on time, and then they take their time to grade it. I understand you have a lot to grade.
That never happens. No.
It's okay. I understand.
Another question?
Yes. What was the best advice given to you by a peer mentor?
I just gave them some advice. I don't know if they remember. What was my smile and say, I'm glad I'm here. And then you won't be as nervous. But anyway.
Helps.
I think, oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry. The best thing that my mentor did for me was he nominated me to go to the Field of Dreams conference and like told me to network and talk to people and like don't be scared to ask questions and that they don't expect you to know everything. So that really took my fear away with talking to people and networking at conferences, and that's been the most beneficial thing for me. So telling me to network and how to network was the most beneficial.
I think I've gotten a lot of great advice over the years, but some of the best was placing yourself and realizing that there are a lot of options and there's a lot of time left, especially as a college student in your career and everything. You have barely started, and it can feel like the end of the world when things don't go the right way, especially when you're used to being in very high intensity, high pressure situations, when you're dealing with a lot of external concerns. So knowing that one class isn't going to derail your entire career, or a couple of bad tests or bad weeks aren't going to be the end of the world, and placing yourself in a wider scope.
Another question?
So I'm curious, out of all, I know you all had different STEM programs and they vary by components, but out of all of those things that you got out of STEM, what is the one thing that you think had the greatest impact on your trajectory in school?
I would say the best thing I had was having a mentor who was in my discipline and who understood the path that I was going to be taking, the classes that I was going to be taking. Because in the past, I'd met with other professors and they'd given me good advice, but they didn't necessarily know where I was going, and I certainly didn't. So it was great to know that somebody knew what was coming for me, and they could help me along the way. They were confident at every step.
I would say the support network. I've transferred schools before, but this time I actually had a group of people in my corner, and I can absolutely tell the difference in my school performance, just having that group of people that I can always ask questions to if I need help with something.
For me, it's the program puts you in a position where you have two roles. So last year I was a mentee, but this year I act as a mentor for incoming students. But at the same time, I'm still a mentee because I still have other students to look up to. So I both receive advice and give advice, and I think that's one thing that my program does really well.
I would say constant learning and exposure. Our disciplines, we met once a week all together, and then we would meet with our peer mentor individually. And our once a week meetings had math majors, computer science, biology, chemistry, all of those. So we were always learning about each other's disciplines through each other, as well as supporting each other. Even though we might have not been going through the same exact thing, that support was still there. So that was really awesome.
I agree with Nicholas that the biggest support for me was my mentor, and I met my mentor through the STEM program because we have professors, at every meeting, and it's a great way to network with professors and maybe meet a mentor there.
That's terrific. Well, one of the things I started with is that for most of us, our most important impact is going to be through the people that we touch, through our students. And I think one of the things that is wonderful about students is you make us optimistic. about the future in a time when it's really easy to not be optimistic at all. And so the future is in good hands, partly because of your work and partly because of the amazing students that you support, both financially through the scholarships, but also through the mentoring, through the networking, through the social support, through not signing the request to withdraw from college. Those kinds of intrusive things make all the difference. And so thank you all, to all of the scholars. And will all the scholars go ahead and come up? We're going to have
2 more questions.
Oh, there's 2 more questions? Oh, I'm so sorry, I can't see anything.
So it's actually a request for information. Is your place at university is oftentimes made possible by your families, and oftentimes our students serve as translators for their families of intention. What are 2 things you would want us as implementers to be able to say clearly to your families that would help you to be successful? So I think the reason I thought about this is, Nicholas, the position you are in of helping to support family members is one that I see replicated on a daily basis. And oftentimes our students have the opportunities of being so supportive of their families, but that often runs in direct competition with being focused on their studies. And it might be easier sometimes for us to be the ones to say that directly to your families than for you to have to say it. So if you had 2 things for us to be really direct about, what would you want us to say?
I think the most important thing would be that it can be a long path, at least 4 years of undergraduate and such, but there really is a prize at the end with the degree and the knowledge that's gained and the mobility that's created. And it's very difficult, like I said, to get out of that mindset of the immediate future and feeling like, I need to get this done this week or this month, you know, and everything needs to happen now. And knowing that it's going to feel like a long time, but at the end it's going to be worth it. And I was lucky that my parents understood that. They always made it very clear to me that I had to go to school and that no matter what, I was going to get a degree and that I'm going to finish. And it wasn't, I'm not just doing it for myself, obviously, but that it's a team effort.
I would say to be direct. When I tell my parents about experiences like this, they're obviously really proud of me, but when someone else tells them how I did or the work I did over the program, or if the program is proud of me, then they're even more proud of me, and then I'm proud of them. And so it's a cycle. So for them getting different perspectives on my work is always the best just for everyone. And so yeah, I'd be grateful.
If I can add one more thing real quick that kind of reminded me, I worked a summer at the University of Pittsburgh under a graduate student and her PI, and I worked with them every day. We were working on this project all the time, and I talked to them a lot, and they were always very supportive and everything. And then the last day we did a presentation of everything that we'd learned, and my parents were there, and I went off and I did something, and then I came back and my mom was crying, and she told me about what the PI had said to her, about what I did, and I was really worried. And then they said that they had a lot of praise for my work, and even though they might have expressed that to me on a day-to-day basis, it felt a lot different when they went out of their way to tell my parents about it, and that they were glad that I was there. It meant a lot.
Hi, I just have one quick comment. That's really loud. I'd like the PIs to think about adding a parent academy to your STEM programs. We have one at University of Houston, and it has been tremendous in helping the parents understand exactly what the students go through as a STEM major. So if you have any questions about that, please let me know. I'm at University of Houston, Donna Stokes in the Department of Physics.
Thank you, guys. I have maybe a related question to the previous question. It strikes me that enrolling in college takes a great deal of trust, both in the institutions and in your professors. And I'm curious if you could speak either to like your own personal history of like, did you always have this sort of trust in the institution that you went to, or if you know people who have struggled with issues of whether or not they really trust, what the university marketing department might tell them about where they're going.
I guess I just took a gamble, honestly, for both institutions. As I mentioned, a family friend had told me about the STEM program at my undergrad university, and I was like, cool, I'm going to apply, and if I get in, I'm going to go. And then I got in, never even visited the campus, and then just showed up on my first day, and luckily it worked out. And then for my graduate school, I did do a bit more research on my graduate school because it is a master's, so that's kind of important. And so I did do a lot of research. I looked online, and I tried to find a lot of alumni stories. So I read a lot about different paths that those individuals had taken once they graduated from the University of Pennsylvania. So that's what did it for me. I wanted to hear success stories, so I knew that putting all of my time, energy, and money into this school was going to be beneficial for me.
I think you mentioned at the beginning of the question it was more about the individuals rather than the university itself, and that's definitely been very true of me. I don't know if any of you have heard Michigan State's been in the news a lot recently for bad reasons, but I've never had a bad experience there. I've been very lucky to have gotten connected with great students and professors and really reinforced in finding the small community. We always I do tours for incoming freshmen. We always tell them that they can make it whatever they want it to be with 55,000 undergraduates and a couple hundred professors, maybe even 1,000. That there's a limitless opportunity out there to make it their own.
Over here? Okay. Is this? Okay, y'all can hear me. So I'm a student myself, and I'm also a young woman of color. And I know that in a lot of my classes, sometimes I'm the only black person in there. Over half of the class is male, and then even less than that, there's only a few girls in my class. So I guess my question would be, have you seen the engineering field become more diverse in like your classes at your own university? And what steps do you think we should take in that direction so that it may become more inclusive of other races as well as other genders?
I'm not in the engineering field, but I do notice, like, as time goes on, like an uptick of people of color, excuse me, in my classes. And I know that there's like there are some clubs and stuff that you can join to meet like-minded people, which is what I've been doing because it can feel really lonely in your classes when you're looking around and you're the only person of color. Because I can identify with that 100%. But doing extracurriculars that kind of align with what you're majoring in has really helped me out. And just like talking to people really and talking to your professors and just, finding out what you can do outside of the school as well, I feel like really helped with that.
Yeah, so like for me, that was one of my concerns going to an engineering school. So there was times where I was like the only like Hispanic in the class and like the only one who actually like spoke Spanish in the class. And so but just finding like your little society in school is always important. Like a story, like my first like few days, I heard some people like talking in Spanish, and I went to introduce myself, and then from there I met other people, and then from them I joined the society. So like again, just and then now encouraging other students to apply that come from the same background as you is always important. And I have seen an increase in like the amount of like in the diversity in engineering at my school, which is a good thing.
We're good? Okay. So thank you once again. the future is in good hands. And would all the STEM scholars come forward for your photo, and we'll say, done for the day.